There's a question that's always puzzled me about the Kardashev scale. Let's imagine one of these super advanced civilizations that has already achieved infinite energy and a level of abundance for all that we can't even conceive of. Now let's take this same civilization and imagine that they solve the problem of death. So if you can't die and you already have everything that you can quite literally imagine, what would motivate you to keep advancing further? I don't think the interesting question is how we would climb to the higher levels of the Kardashev scale, but why anyone even would. Right now, we are at a 0.73 on the Kardashev scale, which sounds like it's very close to 1, but it's actually extremely far away because the scale is logarithmic. In the 60 years since Kardashev proposed this framework, we have only gone from a 0.70 to a 0.73, even with all of the incredible technological advancement we've had. To put this into perspective, we currently use 20 terawatts globally as our energy output per year. Type 1 uses 100,000 terawatts. That's 5,000 times more energy. The reasons for wanting to get to Type 1 are obvious. Type 1 is the end of scarcity as we know it. Manufacturing essentially becomes free. Disease becomes manageable at the molecular level. Living 150 to 200 years becomes completely normal. A Type 1 civilization would also likely have direct consciousness interfacing. You could share thoughts and emotions without words and feel what others feel instantly. You could spend a month in a biodome recreation of prehistoric Earth, experiencing it exactly as it was. The average person lives like today's billionaires, but with technology they couldn't even dream of. But I would argue that the fundamental difference between where we are now and a Type 1 civilization is not even about the technology. Right now, the vast majority of human beings alive on Earth today still need to justify their existence through productivity. I believe Type 1 changes that. When energy is 5,000 times more abundant, automated vertical farms feed everyone. You can 3D print a house anywhere in hours. Energy costs basically nothing. Everything we work for now becomes so trivial to create. But human consciousness still takes 20 plus years to develop fully, and at Type 1, I would argue we still would not be able to manufacture it. Perhaps at Type 1, we're in a sweet spot where human life starts mattering just for being conscious and not for what it produces. And if we start valuing consciousness that highly, if every human life becomes precious just for existing, does someone eventually come in and ask, why do we just let it end after 200 years? This is the question that I think will drive us to Type 2. Type 2. So you build a Dyson swarm. Capture all that wasted solar energy that was just radiating out into space. 400 million billion terawatts. That's 4 billion times more than Type 1. And remember, this is all just from one star. All those Type 1 achievements, that was using 0.01% of what our star produces. With 4 billion times more power, you're transmuting matter itself, creating antimatter by the ton, building planet-sized computers, running quantum simulations of entire civilizations. At this point, to be considered Type 2, you would already be semi-interstellar. You might be interacting with a dozen star systems in your local cluster. But expansion for expansion's sake is not the reason I believe that we would climb to Type 2. We climb to Type 2 for true immortality. At Type 2, you solve death. But I think the way in which we solve death is an important thing to consider. There's really two different paths that I see. One is we upload our consciousness. We transfer it to machines. But the question I have with this is this really extending our life? Or is it just creating a copy that thinks that it's you? When you transfer your consciousness into a machine and it becomes sentient and starts walking around and acting like you have started a new chain of existence that will continue on and have experience. But the original you, the one that's listening to this right now, that chain of existence breaks. You end and something else continues. Then there's the second option, which is that we just extend the biological form and don't transfer it. We keep the original consciousness going. But after 10,000 years of repairs and replacements, if you've replaced every neuron, every synapse, can we still call it the original? At least there is no official moment where you died, but there is inarguably just a slow transformation into something else. Either way, you're not human anymore. Not in any way we'd recognize. This is where trying to understand the motivational structure of future machine humans becomes so difficult. When you live for millennia, a decade feels like a long weekend. What if we solve death before we solve meaning? You have all the time in the universe, but nothing that makes you truly feel alive. And so maybe it's at this point that you look outward again. There are 400 billion more stars out there in the galaxy. And maybe there's something else out there too. Something that makes expansion not just desirable, but necessary. What if there's a reason that civilizations have to keep climbing? Type 3. Galactic Mastery. A Type 3 civilization controls the energy output that is equivalent to an entire galaxy, or about 400 billion star systems. That's 400 billion times more energy than Type 2. The galaxy is 100,000 light years across. So the jump from Type 2 to Type 3 would take perhaps 1 million years, maybe 10 million. But why spread from your comfortable cluster to dominate all 400 billion? Because you need to secure your permanent future. At Type 2, clustered in one region, any cosmic disaster could end everything. But at Type 3, distributed across the entire galaxy, you're virtually indestructible. There's many different kinds of threats that reside within the galaxy. If another civilization exists, whoever expands the fastest wins. And the rate of growth is everything. Even 1% faster expansion means total dominance in 1 million years. Maybe they started spreading before you, or maybe they're hiding, building strength until they're ready to compete. Or perhaps you're the one catching up, staying hidden until it's time. The threat might even be us. After 1 million years of divergent evolution, the post-human branches near the galactic core might not even recognize those at the edge. Different modifications, different values. Perhaps they can combine once more, but there's a strong possibility that they'll be enemies. Who controls the galaxy then? Grow or be eaten? The same expansionist problems don't occur for us at Type 4, or in other words, in intergalactic space, because the nearest galaxy is 2.5 million light years away. Any threat would take millions of years just to reach you, and even if they arrived, you control 400 billion stars worth of energy. You could focus the power of thousands of star systems on any point. No intergalactic invader could concentrate enough energy across those distances to challenge you. And so, at Type 3, you've achieved ultimate security. You truly have won the game of survival. So why would you ever leave? Why spread to other galaxies? 2 trillion of them out there. But crossing those voids takes millions of years. Security doesn't require it. Growth doesn't demand it. But something else does. Type 4. Universal mastery. A Type 4 civilization is where we actually leave science and enter the realm of pure speculation. After millions of years of controlling your galaxy, a gnawing question emerges. What's beyond the observable universe? We can see 2 trillion galaxies. That is what our observable universe is. But that's just what light has had time to reach us from. The actual universe could be infinite, or at least significantly larger. But the problem is, dark energy is pushing space apart faster than light speed. The galaxies we see at the edge right now will soon be gone, forever unreachable. A Type 3 civilization accepts this limit. A Type 4 civilization breaks it. A Type 4 civilization would need to manipulate dark energy itself, reverse cosmic expansion, or change the speed of light. Somehow, some way, the fundamental constants of the universe would need to be altered for a civilization to spread to the entire universe. You're not just traveling through space at this point, you're editing the rules that govern it. This is godhood. Complete control over matter and energy. Perhaps the ability to prevent the heat death of the universe, to reverse entropy, to reshape reality at the quantum level. You're probably not physical at this point, just consciousness threaded through the fabric of reality itself. But even with ultimate control over the universe, one question is still going to keep gnawing at you. What's outside of it? You control everything within the universe. You understand every particle, every force, every quantum state. But the universe itself, what contains it? What exists beyond its boundaries? And why does anything exist at all? Type 5. Somehow, some way, you've escaped. You've broken through, stepped outside of our universe entirely. You exist between realities now, in the space between spaces, the void that contains all possible universes. From here, you can create new ones. You can set the constants of these universes. Perhaps you can press start and watch Big Bangs unfold. Billions of years of evolution taking place in perhaps what feels like moments to you. Consciousness emerging, civilizations arising, some reaching Type 5 themselves. We might be one of those experiments. Our universe, with its specific speed of light, its particular gravitational constant, just one configuration that's being tested. But of course, the problem of infinite regression can never be solved. If I'm sitting here creating the universes, who created the space between spaces that I'm occupying? Perhaps the only way out is to realize there is no out, because I think this common thread of expansionism and growth is truly what connects us all, from Type 0.73 to Type 5. Type 1 climbs to escape scarcity. Type 2 climbs to escape death. Type 3 climbs to escape all vulnerability. Type 4 climbs to escape the limits of reality. And Type 5 climbs to escape reality itself. At each level, it's always about transcending whatever cage we find ourselves in, and discovering that there's always a bigger one. The humans of today, the gods of tomorrow, none of us will ever reach the top. And I think that's okay. Perhaps it's programmed into all life, because this question that haunts us, the fact that we can't answer it, is the reason that we're going to keep on asking.